For my form, meaning, and use diagram, I decided to focus on reflexive pronouns. So reflexive pronouns, how are they formed? So in a sentence, when the object pronoun has an ending of self or selves, it can be a reflexive pronoun. Some examples of these pronouns would be myself, herself, himself, ourselves, and ourself. What does a reflexive pronoun mean? When a reflexive pronoun is used in a sentence, it means that the subject of the sentence is the same as the object of the sentence. And when and why would that be used? So a reflexive pronoun can be used to reflect back on the subject of the sentence. It can be used to indicate that the subject is the recipient of the action taking place in the sentence. And the reflexive pronoun also helps clarify meaning in a sentence. If you remove a reflexive pronoun, the meaning in the sentence becomes very ambiguous. You cannot tell what the sentence is trying to say fully. So let's look at some examples. So for example 1, I taught myself to play guitar. I and myself, those are related. I'm circling back to the subject of the sentence. I know I and myself means the same person. I understand that you are the one learning to play guitar. Myself, I'm the one learning to play guitar. So the meaning in this sentence is clear. Second example, the boy kicked himself. Again, the subject and the object are the same thing, the boy and himself. I understand who is receiving the action in the sentence. The boy is kicking himself. So the meaning in this sentence is clear. If I were to take himself out, the boy kicked, I'd be left questioning who the boy was kicking. So I wouldn't fully understand the sentence. My third example, we can entertain ourselves. Again, I'm reflecting back on the subject of the sentence. I know who's receiving the action. We're entertaining ourselves, so we could be watching TV, reading a book, playing outside. The we and ourselves are the same people. And it helps clarify the meaning of the sentence. I know who's being entertained. So now let's look at some examples where I take the reflexive pronoun out and see what happens to the sentence. So in sentence 1, instead of saying I taught myself to play guitar, I would just be saying I taught to play guitar. That sentence no longer makes sense. I'm left questioning who's learning, who are you teaching to play guitar? It could be anybody. For sentence 2, instead of saying the boy kicked himself, I can't just say the boy kicked. I'm left questioning who is being kicked here. Is he kicking himself? Is he kicking his sister? Is he kicking a friend? Is he kicking a bully? We don't know. So this sentence no longer fully has its meaning. And the same thing happens when I try to do this with my third example. Instead of saying we can entertain ourselves, I'm saying we can entertain. We can entertain who? I don't know. So again, I'm losing the meaning. That's a test you can use to tell if it's a reflexive pronoun. If you take it out of the sentence and you can still get the meaning from it, then it's not a reflexive pronoun. If you remove the reflexive pronoun and you no longer understand the meaning behind the sentence, then it is a reflexive pronoun. So using reflexive pronouns. So proper usage. Brandon patted himself on the back. I know who Brandon's patting on the back, so I get the meaning behind the sentence. Brandon used his own hand to pat his own back. However, if we switch the reflexive pronoun for a standard accusative pronoun, him, the meaning of this sentence is going to change. Brandon patted him on the back. This is no longer a reflexive pronoun. Someone would read this sentence and believe Brandon was patting somebody else's back, so replacing the pronoun changes the meaning entirely. Improper usage of reflexive pronouns. An example of this would be, if you have any questions, please call Carly or myself. This does not work. A reflexive pronoun should not be used here because the person doing the calling, in this case you, is not the same as the person being called. Another poor example, if you have any questions, call myself. A reflexive pronoun should not be used here because the only person that can call myself is I. In this case, we're using you. Remember, the reflexive pronoun should only be used if the subject and the object in a sentence are the same. Let's explain some distinctions between similar constructions. So reflexive versus intensive pronouns, these are easy to get mixed up. So a reflexive pronoun always reflects directly back to the subject of a sentence, and they are an essential part of understanding the meaning behind a sentence. Intensive pronouns are a pronoun that intensifies the subject of a sentence. They are not essential for the understanding of the meaning of a sentence. However, both reflexive and intensive pronouns use either a self or selves ending. That's where people can get confused with the use of them. So let's compare some examples. So for a reflexive pronoun, she forced herself to practice each morning in order to meet her goal. That is used correctly. I understand that who she was forcing to practice. So I understand the meaning of a sentence. If I remove that pronoun and I just say she forced to practice each morning in order to meet her goal, this is incorrect. I don't understand the meaning. Who is she forcing? It could be herself, it could be her sister, it could be a friend, it could be a student, I don't know. So when the meaning is gone because I removed the pronoun, then it must be a reflexive pronoun. With intensive pronouns, so for example, the student completed the assignment himself without the help of the teacher. Okay, I'm using that intensive pronoun correctly. However, if I rewrite this sentence and I take that pronoun out, it's still going to be clear. The meaning is not gone. The student completed the assignment without the help of the teacher. I still completely understand what the student did without the use of the intensive pronoun. That's the big difference.